Ingalls from RHAA, our landscape architect, and we have Nicole Gazzelli with Group 4 as well, our job captain. And then you guys probably recognize your Park and Recreation staff, led by Alan McKenzie. And is Adrian here tonight? No, not tonight. But that's all the support team that's working with us here. I don't know, some of you may have heard of Group 4. Some of you may have worked with Group 4. One of our participants I knew many years ago working on a project in Daly City. Nice to see her again. But we are a local architecture firm on the peninsula, been in business 45 years. Even though our practice is local, we are also national. We're doing work in Ohio and Kansas and Oregon, all across the country. We're both planners and architects. And what we think really sets us apart is because we're planners and architects, is what we plan, we know needs to get built. And what we build, we know informs our planning. And so that's really kind of a unique aspect that we think sets us apart. Quite a few buildings on the peninsula, some of what you may be familiar with. Roosevelt in San Jose, Mitchell Park New Community Center Library. One closer to you that you may be familiar with is Burlingame Library. And then we're also planning Burlingame's New Community Center. So those are some closer ones that you may know more on a personal level. As we look at our project work plan, we are looking at 3 rounds of community outreach. One of the things that council made very clear to us is they want this to be a highly participatory process. And so in addition to the community outreach, the open house, the community meeting that we're doing tonight, and I think, did everyone get the postcard? The mail? Excellent. We're going to do this same format. We're doing it tonight in the needs. We'll do it in the September for the options, and then also for the recommendations. So there's going to be 3 series leading up to the recommendations that's going to go to the Park and Rec Commission and to the City Council. And each of those, in addition to having the community open house, the community meeting, we're working with the project management team, which is comprised of city staff in Group 4. We're also working with an advisory committee. Or many of you are on the advisory committee, I believe, right? I think we have a couple representatives from each of the boards and commissions, and we're meeting on Thursday night for that. And they're going to be our working group, kind of working along until we come to the recommendations. We're also working with the stakeholder group. And I saw many familiar faces today from our stakeholder group. And what sets the stakeholder group different than the advisory group? The advisory group is kind of more your policy, your boards and commissions, your community leaders. The stakeholder groups are your organizers, community-based organizations, your partners who use the facility, help provide programs and services. So we had our first meeting with them last Thursday. And a great group, about 25 people, gave us all kinds of great input onto things that they need in order to keep using a new facility, spaces, types of facilities, programs, services, things like that. And am I missing anything? Online survey. Yeah. So also about to launch, or I think, Trent, did that launch already? It's online right now. The survey for the information we're collecting from you tonight is actually online as well. And so we're going to have an online survey as another option to reach out to people. We're also doing intercept kiosk, and I'll talk about that in just a minute as well. The intercept kiosk is similar to our open house where we use the boards, and we actually are able to go out to the farmers market. Nicole, did we pick a date for the farmers market? June 10th. So we'll be at the farmers market June 10th. We're going to go to the middle school, to the senior lunch program. I think it's summarized at the end of the schedule as well. So trying our best to get as many people in the community participating and giving us their good input. And then round 2 will happen very similar, and round 3 as well. Any questions on the outreach? And if anyone has any good suggestions for us to do the intercept kiosk in the small groups, maybe just let us know that you know of a good community event, that there's good cross-section of people participating in, that we might want to include in as an option for the intercept kiosk as well. A kiosk at BART is a good option, and we'll definitely discuss that. We tend to find that people at transit stations are going into grocery stores, don't really want to linger and talk to us, or they might miss that train, or they're usually like in a hurry to get places. Farmers markets are a little more of a browsing, but that's a very good suggestion. Maybe we can hand the iPads out or something, and you have them do the online survey. So we actually going to show you the link at the end, and there's a link on the city's website as well. And that just went live like hours ago. Trent got it up. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. That's a great suggestion. Yeah, no, it's, it's an iterative process, so we definitely always appreciate good suggestions. So thank you. All right, any other comments? And so just one of the things we want to make sure everyone understands is why are we doing this project and why are we looking at rebuilding the community center? And it's because the community center was well established, well loved, and well used, and just looking at the timeline for the community center all the way up until last year, when unfortunately it burned down, it's been even added on to and organically grown over its life. And this is just a slide to kind of capture kind of the previous footprint of the building. It was just demolished a couple weeks ago, completely taken down. And what was the total square footage of this building, Andrew? Was it 11,000? 16, thank you. The 16,000. So I think I must have looked that up before the addition, the seniors. And so that's just kind of as a starting point for everyone. And so if there's no more questions before we break into the small groups, Andrew's going to give us kind of a little primer on kind of best trends and practices for community center design.
Great. So this isn't meant to be inclusive or exclusive, but just some top 9. Am I on? Oh, okay. Okay, much better? Great. So just the top 9, some of the best practices that we've seen for planning and designing a new community center. And so the first one is community synergies, making sure that we're really looking at all the facilities that the city of Millbrae owns and uses. So we sometimes call this the power of partnerships. It's one of the reasons why we're engaging the stakeholders and the different user groups. We want to make sure that when we look at the community center, we're not looking at it independently, because it is one of many pieces that the city owns, different facilities that they own, and one of many places that the Park and Rec staff use to offer services and programs. So when we talk about the community center, we talk about it not both in an individual state, but also as a group or holistically. So thinking about all the facilities that the city owns and how this community center will fit in with all of the other things, like the Millbrae Youth Center, the charcuterie room that we have here, the library and city council chambers, as well as all the additional parks and fields. So really thinking about that and planning for that. Flexibility of buildings, I think that's kind of sometimes number 1. We have it listed as number 2, but as we are evolving both in technology and the way that we live and work today, buildings have to be able to be flexible. And so we can think about flexibility in a number of different ways. We want the spaces to be flexible. We want to make a room like this be able to accommodate a presentation, a workshop, a teen homework center that it was before. So the use of the room has to be flexible, and as much as we can build into the infrastructure of the building as well, so making sure we have flexible power, data, walls, furniture, everything that we can to help make sure that this community center evolves over time with the variety of different uses and the change of use patterns that we will have. Number 3, efficient operations. As we know, sometimes the upfront capital cost of a building far sometimes outweighs what its operational cost will be over the longevity of the building. So we talk about, yes, this is an initial investment, but the city is more investing in is its long-term operations. And so when we think about efficient operations, we think about it in two folds. One, from a staff's perspective, we want to make sure Alan and Mackenzie can run the facility efficiently, but also that the building is also can be operated efficiently. So having rooms like the room that we are now available independent from other rooms so that parts of the facility can be open for extended hours, early hours, used in different ways. So when we think about operations, it's kind of a twofold, both from the staff perspective as well as a facility perspective. Accessibility to all. I think this is just generally, again, kind of a twofold. We want to make sure that the community center is welcome to all age groups, from youth to teens to seniors, but also that it is accessible to all different types of individuals, people with limited accessibility, wheelchairs, sight, sound, things like that. So it's open to all age groups as well as all different types of individuals. It's a collaborative environment. We want to make sure that when people are there, they are open to ideas and they can interact with other people in an open environment, that we're open to new technology and sharing of new media. And it fosters creativity. We want to make sure that we're really encouraging people to come to the community center to engage in those different types of uses, experience the different creative skills and resources, arts, technology, entertainment, as well as activity and fitness. It's a vibrant place and space. We want to make sure it's actually a well-located facility in a central park within one of your major central parks. And so we want to make sure that the new community center reflects the vibrancy of the community as well as opens up to the surrounding park space. And so it's a vibrant place for people to come to share ideas and to experience. And it's sustainable. We've now have an abundance of water, but just a mere years ago we were in shortage. So when we think about this facility, we want to make sure that it uses energy well, it uses our natural resources, water, energy, and things like that. And so we'll be building in different types of technology and building systems to help make it a sustainable facility. And then number 9, it really celebrates the community. It's the reason why we're all here today, to help get your input, collect your needs, your vision, your goals for this community center, and that community center really reflects the values and the needs that this community has, and that we celebrate that and that I think really enhances the overall design of the building and facility. So any other thoughts or things that you think should have been on the list? Okay, well, if you think of anything, there's always plenty of breakout sessions. We'll be able to accommodate those. So if there's no other additional questions, I think we've kind of had a good 20-minute intro. So we're going to do into 2 breakout sessions. We're going to have the one breakout session with Dawn and James over here that's going to talk about site activities, a site analysis, an overview of the project. And then Nicole and I are going to be in the front of the room. We're going to talk about community activities, spaces, and the goals for the new community center. We're going to then, after 20 minutes, switch. So you can start up here or you can start back there, but in 20 minutes you'll then rotate to the other station. So you'll get an opportunity to go to both stations. And then after that, after another 40 minutes, then we'll come back and do the report out. And so I don't know, we kind of just self-sort, I'm not going to force you to one group or another, but you can pick the closest one or the one that interests you the most. Yes? That's something we probably have in our office, but I don't have it at hand with me. 22,000 is what I'm hearing. Oh, the current population is roughly 22. Yes. Thank you. 20. Yes.
So we're definitely going to talk about parking over here in the site. And as you know, the program use, the building size, what we're doing in the park, all creates the parking demand. And so they're interrelated. And so whatever is being planned for the park needs to be parked on the site as well. And so they're hand in hand. But yeah, we can talk more about that in detail here. Okay? So we're pretty much back on schedule now. So just maybe this half of the room.
I didn't know if I needed to be on or off. Okay, I'm always on. Making sure that we're always tracking that, and then same with the fields and parks. And what we did is we created a facility use matrix, and so we can track currently what Park and Rec staff are using and for what type of program, both by age group and amenity. You guys are I know you're way too far away to read any of it, but the idea is that we can interactively. They're currently, Park and Rec staff are not programming it for the age group 5 through 13. So they're offering other programs, but right now they're not serving any youth or teens out of the library right now, currently. And so right now they're doing all of their youth programs in the charcuterie room and at the youth center, and same with their teen program. And so it just gives us an idea of what they're using and how. And so when we start talking about the new spaces and programs, we know what they're using and how they're using them and what we may need to use in the future. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And so as part of our facility matrix, you can see we have, well, just one little positive over here, a lot of neutrals and a lot of negatives. And when we see that negative, that means we're not being able to serve all the programs and services that are currently want to happen. So if you read this even ultra fine print, that it's either not available or it's already rented out too much or it's too expensive for that group to use. And so one of the things that we noticed is there's just a lot of needs not being currently met. And obviously that's true because the community center burned down. It's even worse than maybe it was before. And so we really want to eventually, as we start looking at different options and programs, that whatever we create for the new community center starts freeing up space for additional groups. And we've turned these negatives into positives. And so we've spent a lot of time with Alan and his staff reviewing the programs and that spaces. They've told us enumerated a number of programs and events that have been pushed out. Some of them are actually going, some of the senior programs are happening in San Bruno, so we're sort of sending them out, and then other groups like yours. But we should note, is the Camera Club? Millbrae Camera Club. Yeah. So that's another, but we should know, because we've been tracking, yeah. Yeah. And that's just a problem, yeah. Yeah. And so that's just an issue we should be addressing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And yeah. And that's why we track all of this and why we work with rec staff. What are your programs now? Is there enough space? Can more people get in? And all we hear is no, we're turning things down. We can't even do the programs we want to do because we don't have the space. And so as we start capturing all these needs, and we're starting to see that everything is just a need at this point. We have a bunch of negatives and everything is, everyone's wanting to do more, but there's just no space to do it. And so when we come back in September with different options, we'll talk about how we can try to meet those needs and hopefully flip this kind of upside down. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we have no mandates from the city side of how big this facility is or how small it is. So we've been told we can only go this big or we can only go this small or you have to have a range. They said, no, find out what we need, look at other cities, look at what other, what's going around the nation, what's going on in the local community, what our other communities have, how big are their facilities, how are they meeting their needs, and then start building and working with our community and come up with a recommendation or different options that we can really get behind. And when we look at these options in September, we're always a topic, we'll have costs associated with them as well. So we know, you know, what are your needs, and your wish list may be big, and here's the reality that goes with the kind of wish list. And then that will be when we all can come back in and check in and sort of say, okay, can we support this, and how do we move forward? And what is the recommendation? So what we're doing is these are interior spaces inside the facility. And so when you get to exterior spaces, that will be part of the site. So if it's an interior pool, then an yeah. Yes. Oh, so interior pool would show up here. Yes. 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 And so that's why we have the other line. You know, we sort of start with the basics. And so yeah, enclosed pool, not an outside pool, inside pool. And that's a big difference, both in cost and, yeah. And so what we have up here is 2 lists. These are activities that are happening within the community center. So anything to the types of programs or classes that the rec center may offer. And so we want to get a gauge on what types of programs that the rec center should be focusing on. And then if there's a specific space that we need, you know, is it a gym, is it a community hall, is it, you know, just more classroom spaces? We also want to capture that, because sometimes the activity is, you know, you want to know what your activities are doing, but you also want to know what kind of spaces you're going to have. And so there's kind of some crossover, but some difference between those two. So we have both a gym, which would be a full basketball court, and then a fitness or wellness room, which would be more of like a yoga space or a fitness class. Could there be a gym space that's more like a workout room? So she's asking, could it actually be like equipment, fitness equipment room? So you come in and you have treadmills, bicycles, things like that. So yeah, we can add that to the other. That would be what we call a fitness equipment room. Yeah, yeah. The fitness and wellness room is more like a yoga room, or Pilates, or, you know, Roomba, Zumba kind of thing. Anything else? Yeah. But we should talk if there's anything else that should be up there, because what happens if we add the other ones, and if you want to vote for them, it needs to be on the list so that everyone can vote. So if there's anything else that we think we should add to the activities or spaces, yeah.
Part of when the fire happened, it actually didn't burn the Boy Scout flags and the various awards the community group had. We don't really have in Millbrae a hallway that has a trophy center.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. Or an opportunity for showing off Millbrae's accomplishments and his group's accomplishments. It's not a room, it's really more of a hallway. Yeah. So it could be like a gallery or display case.
But also artwork.
Yeah, gallery and display case.
Artwork, whether it's rotating artwork, which is what the camera club would like,
mm-hmm.
some of our painters would like.
Yeah.
But, and then also public art.
Perfect. Yeah. George?
The footprint for this, is that the same footprint as before?
No.
So we can expand this to include anything you want, realistically?
Yep. I mean, within the 8-acre park at this point. The city is working on how the project will be funded, and that's why I said when we come back with options, we'll bring back the costs associated with those. So we're realistically looking at options, and we know the price tag associated with them. And so you can look at, when you want everything, how much is that going to cost, and is that something realistically that the city can support and the community can support. And I think the city is also going to be working with an independent financial advisor or consultant that they're bringing on board to help look at you know, what kind of money is coming in from the insurance, what the city has now, and how they can sort of make up the difference if needed. And so what are the options out there that's available to them? And so that will be going on simultaneously, and we'll be working hand in hand with them. And so you'll be able to sort of see, you know, this might be the base figure. And when we talk about a final recommendation, remember we can always do phases and multiple steps. We may not build it all at once, but the city may choose to say, well, we can support this much, but our dream is this, and maybe over a couple steps, just like the old community center was built in there was a wing addition in the 80s. At 10, 12 years after they opened, they realized they didn't have enough space. So there could be things that could happen like that as well.
So your plan would be to, let's just say, for example, not have a kitchen, place the community, if you're going to expand
Yeah, as part of a recommendation, we may say, well, this is the entire wish list, this is a base need, and then these are potential additions, an enclosed pool that may be something that may not be able to be funded up front, but here's where we can plan and budget for that for the future. Yes. That was a best practice. Technology, no matter what. Flexible. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you create this big open central space, but around it,
Yeah.
everything is, track.
Yeah, indoor running tracks.
Put around it, as well as spaces where there's different patio.
Mm-hmm.
So people can, either come close to the edge and actually then observe,
Yeah.
or the whole area is enclosed, as well as up around the side.
Yeah, and so when we start looking at kind of what your needs and wish lists are for spaces and activities, we'll start coming up with, creative ways to solve the multi-use idea of what this facility could be. Maybe that may not, everything has its own room, but how can we serve multiple activities or multiple functions within the same volume or same space? And then the last thing that we're going to do and want to capture from you guys is a little bit of what your goals for the community center are. These can be, making it the most sustainable building in all of California. It could be the envy of the peninsula. It could be the best enclosed pool in the nation. Whatever that goal is, or just a welcoming, open community center filled with light. We really want to kind of hear from you guys what that vision or what that ultimate goal is, because that could help guide us through this process a little bit. Yeah, so accessible for all. That was one of the best practices that we talked about before, is making sure that it's accessible to all ages, but all types of. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We've done net zero buildings, LEED Platinum, so we can build in as much sustainability as possible as well. So any other questions or anything else we want to add to the activities or the spaces that we have on the list, George? Mm-hmm. To the yeah. So you can, yeah. Yes, we want to make sure. So elevated running track. Yes, this is only interior spaces. If you want an outside space, that would be over there. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh yeah. You two may talk, but we will talk. Yeah, we'll make sure it's all coordinated as well. So if we're hearing that somebody wants an outdoor ceramics or painting room, well, we might pair that with an indoor, making sure that the indoor space is adjacent to it, If there's an outdoor water feature, it might be obviously adjacent to the indoor pool. So we would then work with that and make sure that we get those together. I saw a hand, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 To do something. Yeah. No, I think that's a great addition, demonstration kitchen. Ken? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so if we have a demonstration kitchen, it may be located adjacent to the community hall for caterers to use for large events. Because we wouldn't want the demonstration, the kitchen to sit potentially vacant when it's not being used. So we'd look for ways to find the synergy and the multi-use and the flexibility for these spaces as well. I think it's worth putting up just to make it separate, its own unique item. Yeah? Anything else? Okay. So Nicole's going to hand out dots to everyone. She's going to start doing that. We're going to give you 5 red dots and 5 blue dots. The red dots go on the red board, which is the far left board, if you don't know it. And then the second board is the yellow board, which are all your community spaces. And then we have pens here, and we can capture your goals. And so we're going to do this, and then pretty much when this is done, then that's when we're at 20 minutes, then after you're finished here, you can start moseying your way to the site group. Yeah.
You don't have to put them on 5 different things.
You,
If one thing was so important, you could put all 5 on one.
I'm not watching where you put your dots. If it was that important to you, you could put them all on one.
These are mine right there on the pool.
Now you still have 5 red ones. So you can be more creative with your red dots. And then you can come over here and make a goal.
A goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to have to. This is going to. What do you. Here, I'm just going to give that. You should write your own goal.
So when I put my pool in there, so people can learn how to swim and have events.
Yep. Yeah, you really give them a reason why the pool is there. Not just a pool. What is this pool going to do? And if you're ready for your goal, I have another pen.
Did you include the 2 swimming pools that the 4 pools that already exist in Millbrae? Okay, well, Mills High School and Cappuccino have just rebuilt their swimming pools.
So we should add
and they're
that.
protected from the wind, the way they're designed.
So
Are they
let's.
available for public use?
We're working on it right now.
Yeah, that's what we've.
We're working on
Okay.
it right now.
Okay.
We're working on it. Because it turns out we have a lease with the high school district to have those pools, and when I was a kid here, we swam at both those pools.
So
So
Mills.
Mills has a pool.
Yeah, I want to
It's
note it
right
down
there,
here.
And Cappuccino has a pool.
think we have-
Neither of them are really parking lot accessible, but that's the next thing.
And well, this one's outside. Cappuccino's.
they're both outside, but they're
Yeah.
both enclosed.
No, she
No,
means
this
it's
is-
outside of Millbrae.
Oh,
Cappuccino is. 'Cause-
Cappuccino, this is
It's right in that
Cappuccino.
lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the history, just so you know, Millbrae had the land, San Bruno had the money. The school became San Bruno even though it was built inside Millbrae. But Millbrae gave the land to San Bruno.
Ah, okay.
That's that weird little chunk. And a lot of us
How do
who
I
grew up
spell
here from
cappuccino?
Millbrae, we
Is
actually
it like
went
the
to
drink? Cappuccino?
UCHINO.
probably like the Capuchin monks, more likely, but
Okay.
yeah.
Indoor, outdoor pools.
Both are outdoor pools, both are enclosed, but we're currently working on leases right now.
Okay.
So Mills is going to be closed this summer, but we might be able to get swimming, I'm hoping, some form of swimming by the summer. at
That's great.
Cappuccino.
That's great. No, this is why we definitely
Yeah,
want
so
to
if we
capture
can
that.
add
Yeah,
them
we're
as
going to. No,
facilities.
I
The
am.
other
I'm
one
going to have to
that's
move
come
it
up
down.
is Meadows is a private pool, but they open up their swim lessons public. Otherwise, a lot of our people go all the way down to San Mateo for swim lessons. So knowing where we can have swim lessons, as opposed to lap swim or water polo or, other kinds of swimming. Sorry, I grew up as a lifeguard, so
No.
swimming is on there.
Yeah. Sorry. If you want to write a goal.
And San Bruno right here is building a brand-new pool funded by their gas explosion.
Yeah, they have a big aquatic center they're
So I'm
putting
hoping
in.
they're gonna build a 50-meter pool, half in, half out.
That's what I've heard.
So I will
It's
use my council-to-council hat and say, hey guys, because they've got the land.
Yeah,
They have a lot more land than we do.
yeah. And I mean, some of these things are not insignificant, a gym, a pool, when we come back and we show you, it seems like when you go over there, it seems like a large park, but when we get the building and the parking lot, we'll show you what a pool does. And then that will be part of the option is weighing open space, picnic areas, pools, there's a finite, how do we all relate and how does it all fit together?
And it's what can we do as a town of 22,000 versus
What are
bigger
neighbors
towns
doing? Yeah.
We used to have a partnership with Burlingame Park and Rec. So when I first
Yeah.
moved back home in 2006, I could swim at Burlingame. But then that relationship seemed to break. And then it ended, and it got so expensive that we joined Primetime, which is
Yeah.
so expensive.
Well,
I know. But water aerobics for my mom. A pool that had stairs.
that's
to
the
step, but
gymnastics
high
would
school
happen
schools, you
gym.
can walk into,
So,
they have a
yeah.
arm rail.
I would vote for both if you want
Not
them.
indoors,
Yeah.
but indoors is
And that's why I said some of them you kind of have to have one without the other. And some of them, you can think about a cooking class. Does that happen in a classroom or does that happen in a demonstration kitchen?
They're not
Yeah.
designed for easy access.
I've seen them, not so much in California because we have pretty good weather, but in Colorado they have a lot of them.
Real nice one. Stuart Hall with Common Pacific Heart on Broadway in the city. It's like 5 years old. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Really?
a little bit better at Oceana, but
It's a nice one. Yes.
Yeah.
But it cost them like $15 million.
They're not
Ain't
cheap.
gonna happen.
our old community center in the art, the rooms that have been turned into art, the sinks were disgusting.
Yeah.
So when you came and multi-used them, you're dealing with this horrible sink. And I've been told that the new sink design won't get like that.
Yeah,
But when are
they
we gonna
probably
get to
didn't
that
have.
level of detail?
So we'll make sure that we have the budget for the appropriate support spaces and plumbing and infrastructure for an art studio, but when it comes down to the exact design of the sinks and the things, that will be in the next phase when you get into the engineering and
So
design
a
phase.
painting room may not necessarily be, for example, we had
This
our
would
cert
be
classes
different
in
than a
there.
classroom because what's required in an artist studio, like you
Is
said, you
dirty
need the
and
clean
grimy.
outs and you need the proper sinks for an art program. And that's different than what you might just have a regular sink in a classroom. And if somebody tries to use a regular sink for art classes, you're going to get the kind of dirty, smelly sinks that you're referring to.
It was paint, it was just stained.
Yeah.
It was stained, it looked
Yeah.
like an art room, but we'd have cert classes, and community
Yeah.
emergency response, or we'd have events in there, and you've got this,
Yeah, it does not, you're like, I don't know if I want to clean up.
garbage enclosures. I know I'm thinking way ahead, but I
Yes.
work in the recycling field, and I can tell you right now, this is not working.
No.
And
And-
this doesn't include food scraps, so how can
So it
we
doesn't have
define-
compost.
So what happens, this room is rented out to a for-profit education center. She didn't today, but she normally drags that out. When we, the Lions, come in here and have our board meetings, there's not a garbage can in here.
Yeah.
So I have to, at the end of the meeting, dig through it and pull out the recyclables. And I don't like to do that. I'm getting tired of doing that. So how can we create a space that permanently reflects the fact that we live in a day of zero waste?
Yeah, and so I think we should, that's probably just a general comment. I don't think it's
way
gonna,
down in the
yeah.
design, but it doesn't get into what we're doing
Yeah.
with you,
So-
it'll never get in there. So I'd like this to be a zero waste. I know there's zero energy, but I'd like it to be zero waste. And frankly, if you go into our city hall, there's not even a garbage can in there anymore. So maybe the city manager thinks, staff will just go into the break room, but what about we, the public members?
Yeah.
And if you go to any other city hall, there's a display talking about their food scrap program or their this or their that.
Yeah.
We have none of that.
So I think, again, those are the types of details, as long as we note them, and then we'll make sure that the budget supports something like that. And then once they bring on the design team, then we'll capture this because it's good to keep it in the report and the report and the recommendations.
Actually technically
Yeah.
mandated, and nobody seems to remember the space allocation law.
Yeah,
And yet we design buildings all the time.
I know.
I was just at the gorgeous one in Portola Valley. It's gorgeous. And it's got green building materials everywhere.
But
it doesn't have
no,
the
it won't
space
have it.
allocation built in.
And I tell you from a facilities, I've met with a lot of facility staff. It's a catch-22, like they want to do it, but then when they do it, it gets misused and abused. And so it's
Yeah, but if
It's
you don't have the
frustrating.
space, you'll never get the
I
program.
know. Yeah.
30 years working in the commercial recycling industry.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
So thank
So.
you. I know it'll come along farther, but
No, it's good to note it. Make sure it's in the,
and in
it's
our
up
old
on here.
community center, maybe it's over there. Again, you came out from the big room that had dance class or
Mhm.
public events
Yeah.
and the kitchen, and you had this outdoor space that was disgusting. It's actually where the fire started. It's
Mhm.
where they, I'm pretty sure, took the yellow garbage can that was always right next to the barbecue pit and decided, hey, let's catch it on fire. And there you go. So it was like the back of the building. I don't want
Yeah.
any part of the building to look like the back of the building.
Yeah.
So can we get a building that doesn't look like,
Let's make that, I think that's a goal.
okay, so no part of the building looks
Yes.
like the other part?
So I think that's what you would write as a goal. And I'm going to let you write it. But how do you write it so that a
That
community,
you might understand, that I might
well,
understand it
no,
too.
to convey, so facility that's beautiful on all sides.
Oh, that's good. I already started.
You cross it out.
What do you call the side of the building from an architect?
Elevation.
On every
Elevation?
elevation?
Yeah.
We had outdoor rooms. They were on the wind side of the
I know.
building, and they never
Never.
got used.
And that's what you got to bring up over there. Outdoor spaces. And we talked about this. Yeah. And then you should make sure you get your dots because we're going to have to push you to the next one because we got half an hour.
I'll do my dots.
Yeah, and then you'll have some time after the end of the after the whole end of the presentation too.
Because I'm also spoken to a lot of them. They want a commercial kitchen.
Well, this is a community hall with a commercial kitchen.
Okay, just so that you know, though, our old kitchen didn't have the right appliances, so they couldn't cook a lot of things, couldn't bake bread,
Yeah.
couldn't do, things like that. So and to be honest,
Not a
with the
catering
line-
kitchen, you need a commercial kitchen.
Right, catering is just kind of warming
Warming,
things up.
yeah.
Yes,
They want
exactly.
food prep on site.
Food prep on site.
Yeah.
Baking, we do St. Patrick's, all that.
Yep. Great. This is my new group. I see some new faces. All right. Station 2, are we ready? Okay. I think I'm going to get started. 2 more sitting down. Okay. So welcome to the facility, community activity spaces and facilities assessment. So over there you're looking at outdoor spaces. I'm talking about enclosed rooms. So you kind of have to leave your outdoor rooms out over there. Now we're just talking about what's inside the community side. Only inside. No more exterior. You have to go back to that board if you want an outdoor space. So I'm just gonna do a brief overview, and then we'll do the same thing that you guys did there. We're gonna end with a little dotting exercise and project goals. And so what we first did is as we talked about, as I first mentioned, number 1, best practice community synergies. So the first thing we did is we started to map all of the great community facilities within the city of Millbrae that are owned by the city, that are not owned by the city, but the city uses. All of your great city parks, and all of the things that you use in the school districts as well. And so I know it's a little hard to see, but we have, the Millbrae Library, the Charcuterie Room, the Youth Center, as well as the History Museum, and then the Old Community Center. And then non-city but owned but used by the city, we have the Magnolia Center, Magnolia Millbrae, the Methodist Church, St. Dunstan, the Taylor Middle School gym, as well as the Shea Center. So those are all things. And then the city is also currently using the Sam Bruno Senior Center to use for senior programs because they just have no space here. And we heard in the first group, and I'll reiterate here, not only does this kind of say where the programs are, so at the library, the current rec staff are minus, that's actually a negative, because they can't do all the programs and events that they would like to do because the room is already overbooked, or not available enough because they're sharing it with other groups and other programs. And so as you can see, obviously the community center is burned down, that we're really in a lack of space, and so much that we're going some programs to San Bruno, and in the last group, somebody was mentioning like camera club got pushed out completely and didn't even really have a home. So if there are programs or activities that you know of that aren't being met, we should capture that here as well. But we're trying to do an inventory and really work with recreation staff to figure out what are they using and is it currently being met. And as you can see, it's really not. And we're doing that both for facilities and for fields and parks. So these are all the city-owned fields and parks, and then these are the joint use Millbrae School District fields as well. So it's a little bit of an inventory of everything that you guys have here. So if you don't know, you can come up and check. The other thing that was noted is that there are a couple different pools, although they're currently not open to the public right now. The pool at Mills and at Cappuccino. So we're going to add that to the facility map. And even though they're not currently open to the public, they're working on trying to get a program where they can open them up. So hopefully, if that comes to fruition, then that will help alleviate some of those needs. But right now, they're there. They're school owned and used. So just to kind of note that. And I guess there's a private pool up in the country club. Yeah. And then the next thing we also have up here we're going to ask you, just like you did for the site, what are some of your community activities? And so the red board here, the first board, is talking about different activities that would happen within the new community center. So everything from fitness, active recreation, events, lifelong learning, cooking classes, dance. You'll be able to kind of vote. And then the other one are the actual rooms themselves. And so this is actually talking about having a gym or a classroom or a music studio. Not really the program, but the space. And so you get an opportunity to weigh on the types of activities that you want, as well as the types of spaces that you want. And so what we want to do before we do that, we're going to go over all of these, and I want to make sure that you can see we've already started to add some things to the list, and we will make sure we capture all of the things that we want to do so you guys have an opportunity to vote on things that may not even be up here but need to be added to here. So things that we've added is an indoor pool, not an outdoor pool. That would have shown up over there. A fitness equipment room. So this would be a room for like treadmills and bicycles where stationary or low impact weights would be. That's different from like a fitness or wellness room, which is just kind of like a yoga room or an open studio for fitness classes. Different than a gym, which is just for basketball or court. Oh. Enough.
Right. Right. So there's probably a very small connection between the Parks Department courtyard and the staffing there and the relationship to the community center. Very small connection there. Right. Okay. Uh-huh. When we.
Does anybody know what year those buildings were built?
Oh, no. I mean, there's a trailer. It's. Well,
Fairly recent too. It wasn't always there.
right. This is trailer in here.
It's not
Yeah.
something to really be concerned about
I think this
replacing.
is a public space and that doesn't belong there at all. I think that
So
should be
don't like
a high priority that
park
it should be moved out
courtyard
of there.
and access in
And I think this was mentioned too, the city is currently under overall updating their facilities master plan, so we're coordinating with them also on what the information they have.
I see there's already parking on there, but parking is always, there's always a huge
But
shortage
you
of
guys are
parking.
blue now, so we want to mention parking again, okay?
Okay.
So I would actually
Inadequate parking.
two-story parking garage over where we had, you know that parking lot that we have right now?
Right.
Two or three-story parking garage.
Okay.
So have access into the new building. Right.
Okay, so basically you're saying more parking. You need more parking, right?
We need a three-story garage
Okay.
that has access
Right.
into the new building.
Okay.
Hopefully we can be more creative.
I wonder
than
if there's a way,
but-
if there's a way to combine parking and like something like the tennis courts where you
Uh-huh.
put that on the roof of the structure.
Right.
I'd like to just access on both sides, so you can sort of get through the park and there's access parking on either side. I like that aspect.
Parking on both sides, you like that? Okay. Oh, that's me.
Sorry.
The city's been talking about creation of community gardens for years. It's been on the parks plan for years. And one of the sites talked about is where you've got it circled as underutilized. It's slightly sloped, but a community garden can be terraced. And it's been like that since I was a kid, so a good 40 years.
Okay. So, that's
Just, well, since I was a kid, not including when I was
Kind of had there. And did you say community garden?
community garden.
Now, we talked in our earlier group, what do you actually mean by community garden?
Community garden is where members of the public can rent a plot
Okay.
to grow flowers or vegetables,
Okay.
fruit or vegetables.
Different than a demonstration garden that,
Although
okay.
I created San Mateo County's master compost program, so I went to every garden in the area, and you can use the outskirts of a community garden to show how to compost, how to do
Okay.
things. You can have some aspects of a demonstration garden in the signage.
Okay. Okay.
But one of the reasons that location is nice is that's one of our highest concentration of apartments. And those are the apartments that don't have the space to be able to grow veggies.
yeah, and I noted that here. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right, we've got three. We're going to start in the very back.
So currently, under the existing, where the park's always been, traffic management is a nightmare for those that live around the park. And what we're talking about adding here is a significant, facility which is gonna have parking is one thing. This is not about parking, this is about access to everything that's going in there with respect to the impact to the neighborhood. We already have, traffic flow problems getting in and out of there. I can just imagine, if we don't think this through, all these people trying to get in there, it's just gonna get much more, it's gonna impose more, an impact to the quality of life for the residents that they already live with now, and it's just
Right.
gonna have a bigger impact on the residents.
And that squeeze when school gets out and kids are getting picked up, everything becomes a log jam. Yeah.
We need to think that through about how we're gonna manage the flow in and out of that facility, in and out of that park.
Right.
Better than it was today. It's always been an issue.
Okay. Good.
And I
Matt?
expanded that, if that's okay, to be bikes, pedestrians,
Absolutely, all
vehicles.
forms of traffic, pedestrian and motorized should be looked at, and non-motorized.
And the key is the impact on the local
On the neighbors.
On the neighbors.
Yeah, we live
Everyone.
on that street and it's just,
You live on Lincoln or?
we live on Ashton and it's just constant people coming around that corner.
Okay. Matt, I think you were next.
Parking cost prohibitive.
Underground?
It's costly. I think it'll be weighing that out.
Well, and so we will have the budget numbers on that. So Matt, underbuilding parking, if you're looking at doing underbuilding is probably, and again, this may not be currently accurate with escalation, is probably 110,000 a space. If you look at structured parking, it's about 50,000 a space. If we're doing new tennis courts potentially with parking underneath, it's about a little bit more, but not a lot more. And so that's one of the things that we'll be evaluating, but it's really important to understand that you have limited open space, and encroaching in your open space is probably not going to be very well received. And so we're going to have to come up with creative ways to balance the parking on the site, and putting them under the tennis courts is certainly a potential option, because that's already hardscape. Right? And just a general rule of thumb, maybe I'm just testing it with this audience, does it sound about right? Like, whatever is built space in terms of square footage can maintain that, right?
Is that the right ratio? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can't increase built space to open space. I guess just my, right,
don't
right.
think that that's been discussed.
Well, it just, what, okay, so.
If we're windy and we can't use some of the open space because of the wind. So for example, someone today after this afternoon said, we'd like to have a place to play volleyball. Well, during our windy year, you can't play volleyball on the grass. Therefore, where do you play volleyball? So in that case, that ratio wouldn't work.
Okay, no,
Right.
so what I'm
So
hearing is you
usable
guys are-
outdoor
I was
space
just
is critical.
testing what your
Yeah.
The weather
initial
constraints that we have.
gut
Okay.
response is, and it sounds like still a little bit open, a little bit flexible. Let's see what those options might be, right? Okay.
Margaret. So what I wanted to express as far as a dislike is how the rec center had been. I have a Taylor student and I'm one of those that uses that parking lot to pick up.
You are so brave,
But I
Margaret.
see that other Taylor students, they like to walk through the building and then the staff, what they ended up doing was lock the doors so that nobody could go in through those doors to go through. Meanwhile, I wanted to access the senior center to go to the senior bread on Wednesdays. So I was basically locked out from the senior center when I'm utilizing the parking lot to go to pick up the Taylor student. So I used the facilities in much different ways.
So I'm
But
just gonna
that
put
door,
that's
I
the
understand
same
that you
thing.
don't want the kids walking through, however, to lock it up so that those sliding doors weren't and not have other people
Now, there needs to be
Okay.
an elegant solution to the site circulation, separating bicycles, pedestrians.
Yeah.
And clearly, the school doesn't have an official pickup drop-off kind of policy. And when my daughter was at Green Hills, the official policy was, well, this is a walk to school, which
Okay.
was totally ridiculous. It would take me 45 minutes to walk her to school, 45 minutes to walk back, if I was fit enough to go up the hill and down the hill twice a day. So it's very unrealistic to say to parents, you're going to walk your kid to school. So thinking of realistic terms, there would need to be some sort of.
So the good thing is school district's on our stakeholder list, and we are coordinating with them on some other things as well. So we'll be able to follow up with this and try and understand if they do have a drop-off pickup policy, if it's enforced, why not? And I think it's kind of one of those partnership solutions that we're gonna have to kind of integrate into the
Work.
process.
Yeah, and I'd like to see it like integrated, not just like, well, no.
Right. Policy.
But not have a trail.
One thing I like is
Get to
that there's a sort of a track that goes around part of the park.
Uh-huh.
What I don't like is that it doesn't go all the way around.
Okay.
And so I don't know how to put that, but I think having something, a walking and riding a bike path that fully encircles the park
Okay.
would be nice. Right now it's just sort of like a throughway, but then you have to like turn around at the end. My kids are constantly going down to one end and trying to get back to the other and going, and it's sort of it's a little bit broken that way. So having something that's circumferential in the space, I think it's related to the fact that there's sort of that underutilized space that's at
It has the dirt trail going up to it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it just stops.
Plants. I live by
Yeah.
It's scary at night. You don't know what's jumping out at you.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
That whole area that
Yeah.
jumps down in
Right.
the wall where you could make a circle.
Uh-huh. Right. Up on this end. You're right. There could be a nice.
The landscaping has looked like that for decades.
Yeah, it's not taken care of. Yeah. Yep. Joe.
I really like the idea of this amphitheater, but because of the wind, it really has to be done right. I know in the past that a lot of times they've tried to have movie nights in the park, and it's just miserable. You just sit out there and freeze. So the idea of an amphitheater that might be somehow shielded by the building itself.
Okay. All right.
What is the amphitheater up at Taylor Middle School?
Yeah. Does anyone?
They do.
Right.
I'm wondering, so we're gonna look into it, because that's got its back to it and it steps down.
It doesn't have a roof though, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering for the wind protection, how that might, we can check on that one, and that has almost the same orientation that this one might.
It is ADA too.
Yeah, I'd like to add that I really like the bathroom.
Okay.
Part.
Yeah.
Put that in red again. The bathroom.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know know if it would work because of the parking issue, but another thing that was tried in the city is to have like a food truck place, and they had it out by Highway 101, and
Off the
it
grid,
was yucky.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to fit that in here, but I like the idea of sort of a public gathering space, or almost like maybe it's like a town square kind of place where people gather more often.
Uh-huh. Well, there was mention almost like a snack bar, something. I don't know if there's enough activity for that, but something maybe as a space. Is that maybe more in the scale?
Here, is that what you're talking about? So this plaza is such a nice active kids, seniors. I mean, we were out there today. It's a really nice cross section.
You know what we could probably do, what you saying, is that service area for the loading and unloading docks, if that's next to a park area, to a whole park area, food trucks could pull up in that and still serve, something like that.
I'm just thinking of a place where we could have an off the grid type of an activity.
Yeah,
Well-
exactly. Yeah, food truck can pull into that area if it's big enough and still have.
Or I've seen where almost we're talking about bathrooms maybe sharing with the building and the park. You could share maybe a small little snack bar as part of the building program as well as outdoors. Possible.
It sounds like it's more like that special event
Uh-huh.
that you might have.
Yeah, okay. So, but you like that idea, right? Okay.
Yeah.
While you're running some lights, I like that there are reservable tables and not reservable tables.
Okay.
Combination of those. I like that aspect of the park.
I like that the current park still has different types of outdoor activities and equipment. What I don't like about it is very age limited. And so, really what we have right now currently is for the, I would say, the young elementary to preschool age for the most part in that section of the park. As we look ahead,
Yep.
we would envision, for middle school and high school kids that want to come to the park, could we have bocce ball or volleyball, to your earlier point, or some sort of other thing. It wasn't a field-sized sport, like we're not going to put a soccer field or a baseball field there necessarily, but something that allowed for a structure, sort of a structure area where middle school and high school kids could go and play something that was more age appropriate for them. Because seeing a middle schooler go down that little escalator slide is
Right.
not
Right.
in the grand vision.
Right. This is definitely kind of, I would say, kind of age 10 and below. Okay. Okay.
I will say I really like the high quality playground equipment. I think it's really high quality stuff. It's good.
That's you're saying out there right now.
Out there right now.
Okay.
They got good stuff. It's solid.
Okay. All right.
I agree that there's a limitation, but what they have is
Basketball court.
There is not. So we're gonna talk about there's not. There is at Taylor.
As someone who used to live next to a park where they put in a basketball court, please make sure it's away from residents.
Yep. They're noisy. Yep.
Bouncing balls all day. Indoor, outdoor spaces. They said that you're the group that's going to be working on our outdoor rooms. The old rec center had outdoor rooms. They were never used.
Mhm.
They had gotten pretty overgrown, but they were also on the windy side of the building. So considering that we are windy at least half the year, can we have some nice outdoor spaces that have a mix of hardscape and livingscape? So again,
Mhm.
outside where the kitchen was, where the barbecue was, it was all concrete. And we had events there, but it really wasn't anything I felt proud of.
Okay.
I love a space that I feel really proud that it's a beautiful indoor-outdoor space. And I personally would like to see, and I'm going on record then, a second floor with a second floor balcony that makes use of our views.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, start. All right. Stickers. Can you pass those down, please? Did you get some?
I'm kidding.
Could you pass those down? Sorry.
I don't know about those.
Or I guess I got some here.
But we actually need to get on the voting.
All right. Hang on. Oh, excuse me. Who needs stickers? You need stickers? Can you grab stickers? Did you guys all get stickers? You're going to vote.
We're voting.
Oop, I just doubled you up. Right there. All right. So we need you to vote right now up there.
And do we have any talk here?
How much do they win by?
None. That makes it safer for kids.
Ouch.
So one of the lights is the sort of connection to Taylor and all the facilities in Taylor. So it's just a step to the park. Well, so I don't like the physical aspect of the connection, but I like the fact that like we don't need to have basketball courts here and there because they're right there. The playing fields are there. So like if you want playing fields, basketball court, you can sort of go right into the park up to Taylor. So I don't know what to say that, but like I like the fact that the shared facilities with Taylor. I like that. And then the other thing I like is sort of the connected nature of walking from the park straight to the library, straight to the house. That's sort of I like that connection. I tell you, it's killed me the last 6 months because my access to the park side is killing me. I gotta come down Taylor. My wife said that moving to Castle is almost a fence. I'm like, just a whole fence. And all the residents can get paid. I'm sure you're not ready to get paid. But anyway, so the two things that the connection to Taylor, what I dislike is the fact that the connection to Taylor is sort of like this funky, weird little staircase. Like that part I think is getting not ideal, but I do like the connection. Which I think you ended up doing. You'd owned it or not. It's actually okay. It's just we like to ride our bikes through. You know, you just have to drive your bikes up and down the steps. But you know, that's fine.
So how many kids do you have?
We got two.
What age?
They're 6 and 8.
Okay.
So they're sort of at the end of their use of the playground facility.
Well, no,
But I know that the playground is important
well, it's very
to
important.
other people who have kids, so I'm not going to put against that.
But it is, it's, you know, it's a little bit limiting. All of this is probably good 15 years old. I mean, there's some of it needs to, it could be a little bit more exciting, maybe expand the age to the kids.
I also noticed that there are very few kids that use this one.
Is that right?
Yeah, sort of the kids, it's sort of like spec for 3 to 5, age 3 to 5. And once kids are
Okay, if you're done with your stations, let's come back. Really, just 5 more minutes. I'm trying. Okay. All right, you guys, let's come back together. I've got this here. Yeah, everyone comes back. No, she talks of whoever was in your last station talks about just your station. You fill in what they talked about in the first round.
Okay,
I've got
I just want to make sure they didn't have to come.
I think it has nothing to do with you guys and your.
Right, we have reporting out for site analysis from this last conversation with our second group. Ross is going to give us a summary of what we talked about in our group.
All right.
So here's your cheat sheet right over here, red down here and blue there.
All right, so hopefully folks will let me know if they had comments that I'm misrepresenting. So regarding the outside area, a couple of things that were brought up. I guess starting with the likes, people like they like the connection of the park to the rest of the neighborhood. That was something that we like. People like the fact that there were public facilities, particularly bathrooms, and the connection between the outdoor spaces and the rest of the park, so sort of that natural connection. There was discussion about the possibility of attracting food or having food come to this space, which isn't really a like, but it's something that was a question mark about food trucks or something like that, so that was a discussion point. It was brought up the idea that the existing pathway sort of connects Taylor and connects down to the library, but it's sort of throughfare, and it might be nicer to have something that sort of encircles the park. There was some discussion about the open space that's on the top side of the park here that was underutilized, and the discussion about a public garden or other ways to better utilize that space. Discussion about the playground structures and how generally people felt like that was a good feature of this park, and they liked that aspect of the park. Some discussion about whether whether those facilities were perfect or whether they were left some things to be desired. Like the fact that there were tables that were reservable as well as tables that were not reservable, so you could sort of have different types of activities. So generally, a lot of positive points about the park and the outdoor facilities as they were. Some of the negative aspects, a lot of discussion about circulation and particularly parking and how to get in and out of the park, access to and from like the kitchen facility or access to the barbecue areas. That was discussed. There was some discussion about the existing other buildings, the facilities that are there. So for the Parks Department, there's sort of some temporary facilities and a yard and some equipment, and discussion about whether that really needs to be there at all. And then maybe it'd be better if that wasn't there or if that could be moved. And then also the impact
on the local neighborhoods in terms of cars and trucks going to and from particularly that facility during the day. Also concerns about as we make this park and the facility more attractive to people, that would likely bring more traffic through the neighborhoods and what the impact would be on that. So there's discussion about that, and that was more of a concern, less of a dislike, but more of a concern. But there was a concern already today of the amount of traffic to and from the park through these neighborhoods. Particularly mentioned was up Laurel and on Park. And then I don't actually know this one. If somebody has an idea, this outdoor activities limiting.
That it wasn't multi-generational, that it was either preschool, young folks, that the middle school kids looked awkward sliding down.
Right, yeah, that's right. So there was a discussion about, yeah, thank you for reminding me. So there's a discussion about this park being mostly usable for younger kids, and as the older kids, it wasn't necessarily appropriate for them, and when they were there, it wasn't necessarily a good fit. So those are some discussions that we had about the space. Other things for folks who were part of the discussion that I missed?
So I think James might, anything else on that group? So just supplementing what the first group said, James will kind of.
Yeah, Ross, thank you. I mean, you pretty much covered everything. You covered, I think, pretty much everything. In the first group here, and I think, again, the big takeaway was Central Park is one of the largest open spaces in Millbrae, and that's really cherished, and we need to maintain that unstructured open space. We talked about the playground, and I think that it is but I think there's some more opportunity there that could be based upon different age groups. Bathroom connection to the park, that's definitely a facility, and we could share that with the building. A lot of opportunity maybe with the tennis courts and other court games, taking advantage of that. And then the indoor-outdoor activity connections, again, looking at how the building can embrace outdoor spaces and how we can share indoor and outdoor activities and spaces. For the likes, dislikes, again, the big takeaway was circulation and parking. Ross covered a lot of that already. Site lighting needed. Again, big safety concerns, making sure that we're covering that. One thing we haven't mentioned, taking advantage of the views. That we need to do that. There is some great views looking from Central Park, looking this way to the east and to the bay. And building open out.
Yeah, that was
Dawn, help me here.
The building was more introverted, the old building, and that was a dislike. There's an opportunity to have that indoor-outdoor connection. They didn't like.
Right, so I think, again, the two takeaways, I think certainly the open space is critical. Dislike, probably the circulation and parking and how we got to really look at those modes.
Thank you. And we're going to quickly summarize Station 1. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what our discussion kind of in a thematic way. So a couple of themes we had. One was that we really need to be very mindful about keeping things as flexible as possible. So having spaces that can be used many different ways. Another part of our discussion was around the fact that, like, if we had a digital arts center, it could be used during the day for seniors and at night, in the afternoons by school kids. So knowing that, different groups can use different spaces, we don't need two of things. And also then the other big theme was around being mindful of thinking out for the future. So, is this what we might have? Is that going to be really suiting the needs of, people 30 years from now? Because, they'll have this building. And also to be mindful of, so things like the demonstration kitchen
do we have the city wherewithal to provide programs, or will it be like if we can get vendors to come in to use this space? So really making sure that we build not only what we need, but what we can support going forward. So that was, I know I kind of lumped a lot of things into some buckets. Is there anything else that people from our group feel like we need to call out? Okay.
Okay. And then I think from the first group, the only thing I think was really, again, to recapture the groups and organizations that have since been displaced since the community center, and a lot of making sure the building was flexible and designed for multiple uses. So a lot of the similar themes between the two groups. So I think, Dawn, you're going to just wrap us up quickly?
I'm not going to go over our needs or options and our recommendations, but these is a summary of the upcoming outreach and programs that we're doing. The online survey, did you have a chance to launch that, to show it? No, that's fine. That's okay. Is on the websites, on Facebook, it's on Twitter. Trent is getting it out there so everyone can participate.
But if you just go on the city website and click on that link, you'll get another link to the survey.
Yeah. And so that's it. If any questions, comments, we'd appreciate any feedback. We definitely want to improve, and it is something that we are in process of doing for the next 2 rounds. So any suggestions, we're very welcome to, and would love to try and make things better for you as great participants. We really appreciate you committing a good 2 hours almost of your time to us tonight. And some of you we saw earlier even, so thank you. Yeah, we have another question.
You have Taylor Middle School. Are you going to include the 2 high schools?
We are hoping to catch the high school students. We can definitely include the high school. They're not usually as quick to engage as those middle school students. And so if...
We're going to go to the teen program that the library is offering.
Yes.
On June 7th, they do a teen program with the high schoolers. So we're going to capture them there. And we're also engaging the youth advisory committee.
Maybe if you visited a leadership class or government.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, and I saw somebody, we'll definitely look into that. Yes, yeah. I love Leos. Yeah, they were here tonight. Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at it the other way. We have a lot of recreation opportunities at the 2 high schools that we're not utilizing. So I hope through this process that we are also reaching out to them. I know I talked on your side that we're talking about an advice program. But I hope that that's kind of like the other one, working with Taylor on the traffic driving through the neighborhoods. Let's talk to the 2 high schools. And remember that even though Cappuccino's in San Bruno, it's still Millbrae.
Crossover. Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion.
Well, those buses led to Cap too. Think of it as Millbrae.
Any other comments? Mayor, I know.
And Don, is there a way to submit comments online that your team will receive?
There is a comment section in the survey. Absolutely.
Through the city website.
Through the city website.
So anybody who's watching at home who was unable to attend this evening can access that on the city website, ci.millbrae.ca.us. And in the survey, there will be an opportunity to provide public input online 24/7 anytime. So thank you very much, Don, and we look forward to the upcoming meetings. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.